Hello everybody and welcome to this special video, which is a countdown of the top 10 best-selling light novel series of the year 2017. Well, actually it covers November 21st of 2016 to November 19th of 2017. So we kind of leave December out of things, but it's all right. It's close enough. I mean, we can't do these lists and include all of December because then they'd be coming out late. And we want to have these top 10 lists so that we can look at them as we ring in the brand new year of 2018, which, God, please let it be better than 2017. But didn't we say the same thing when we were ending 2016? Let 2017 be a better year? I don't know, guys. When are we going to catch a break? I guess we'll see. In any case, this list now is compiled from the sales of all volumes of light novels. There was also a list of the top 10 best-selling individual volumes of light novels of the year 2017. I'm going to leave that list in the description of the video. I'm not going to go over it in a lot of detail because, to be honest, of the top 10 spots, 3 series own 7 of those spots. It is not the most interesting list, especially when you consider that Sword Art Online is one of them. The Irregular at Magic High School owns quite a few spots. So I don't think there's much to talk about other than the fact that what is interesting is that every single title that is on that top 10 list that has a top 10 best-selling volume of 2017 is currently available in English. So that's pretty interesting to me. It certainly shows where the companies who are translating these books are putting their money. Now, in terms of the actual series, this I find a lot more interesting, obviously, because there's quite a number of factors that can influence the popularity of a light novel. As we've seen when, the weekly top 10 that I do, Classroom of the Elite had a huge improvement in their sales as the anime was showing. Even with the anime being over, the most recent volume did very well. So there are a lot of factors that can very much influence how a light novel series performs in terms of sales. And what's kind of interesting is that in the year 2017, of these top 10, only 2 of the top 10 didn't have either an anime series or a brand new anime movie premiere in the year of 2017. And even one of those, which is Your Name, and I mean, I'll get to it soon, so it's not that big a spoiler. Besides, probably most of you have looked up this list already, but in terms of Your Name, I mean, we can even argue that even though it released in around August of 2016 in theaters, obviously with the popularity that it had, it was still running into theaters probably into this sales date. So it's not all that surprising that that series has continued to do very well, while the novelizations of that film have continued to do very well. And the other thing to remember is that Your Name was released as 2 different formats. If you take a look at the top 10 best-selling light novel volumes, you'll see Your Name on there twice. One of them is the bunko format, or the bunko format, which is the smaller, sort of cheaper paperback type format. And the other is the tankobon format, which is much more like a hardcover type format. So that's why you'll see that on there twice. Again, like I said, it owns 2 of the spots. Sword Art owns 2 spots. Irregular owns 3 spots. So yeah, I mean, in any case, that is kind of where we're at. Now, of these 10 series, 7 of them are licensed and available in English. All 7 are licensed by Yen On. Of the 3 that are remaining, one of them we have the manga, but that one is being licensed by 7 Seas. So let's get into the list and talk a little bit about this in more specifics. So at number 10, with 417,897 copies sold, it is the Saga of Tanya the Evil by Carlo Zen. Now, this had an anime that aired January to March of 2017. During this sales period, it had 2 volumes released during the year that this time frame covers. The first volume is being released in English December 19th by Yen On. So a later acquisition by Yen On. Most of the other ones that Yen On has on this list, either they have already published a number of volumes, or you know, well, they pretty much published all of these. I'm just taking a look at a couple of them, but yeah, pretty much most of them have at least 3 or 4 or more volumes published. At number 9, with 426,706 copies sold, it is Overlord by Kugane Maruyama. Now, this one, the anime was out earlier, but during this year of 2017, there were 2 compilation movies that were released that kind of covered that first season. And of course, at the end of the second compilation movie, they announced that there will be a second season, which is going to be premiering actually in a couple weeks, I guess, at this point, like in January 2018. So it's coming very, very soon. What is kind of interesting to me is that only 1 new volume was released of Overlord in this period, in this year. So it's not like it was one of those series that was constantly in front of the public with, you know, a brand new volume every 4 or even 6 months. It only had the 1 new volume. I think, now, I mean, I'm biased because I really like Overlord, but to me, that's kind of impressive. Like, that really does say to me that there is a very dedicated fan base who probably discovered this during the original anime run and who have just kept up with it since then. And I'm sure the compilation movies probably had a little bit of a boost to it, but overall, I think it's just a really popular series. I mean, it did come in very high on the Kono light novel ga Sugoi, both last year and this most recent year. So obviously a series that is very well regarded. At number 8, with 443,995 copies sold, Akashic Records of the Bastard Magical Instructor, which is written by Taro Hitsuji. Now this one had an anime, again, April to June of 2017. They had 3 volumes released during the sales here. Now, this is one of the ones that we do not have a license for the light novels, but 7 Seas has licensed the manga and has released the 2nd volume of the manga just in the first week of December of 2017. So you get it at least in one format other than the anime, but yeah, as of yet, we still don't have the light novels. Again, I don't know why that is, but well, hopefully we see things change. You know, we've had a huge increase in number of volumes being licensed and series being licensed over the past 2 years. I think 2018 is going to be even bigger. So we may see even more series come out. And, you know, when you've got these series that are consistently placing well in the top 10 lists, you know, doing well in sales and everything else, it's certainly an enticement for these English companies. I mean, like I said, of these 10, 7 are licensed by Yen On. So, I mean, really, it's kind of a no-brainer that we could see more of these series getting licensed because there's not a lot left that are doing really banner sales that haven't been picked up yet. At number 7, with 489,916 copies sold, it's Manga Sensei by Tsukasa Fushimi. Now this one, of course, had the anime aired April to June of 2017. During this year that is covered, 2 volumes were released. This is one of the 3 that we do not have a license for the light novel series, which I was very surprised because given the, I mean, I don't know whether we would call, what would you call how the anime was received? It had a lot of notoriety. I don't know whether I would say it had a lot of positive notoriety, but it's certainly, there was a lot of fan awareness of that series. I mean, even when like Giga did his whole video that was dedicated to Manga Sensei. So again, a series that I'm kind of surprised that over this year, we have not heard anything about a license for it. I was positive that we would have gotten that licensed, but apparently not yet. At number 6, with 501,026 copies sold, it is Your Name, and which was by Makoto Shinkai. And so there were 2 versions. Now, they were both released around the time of the movie in 2016. So they were actually released before this list started. Now, this book, this movie, this story has been so popular. It just has kept on keeping on. Now, I don't know if now with these sales, the other thing that I was going to say is with these sales, there was also a spin-off light novel called Your Name, Another Earth, what was it? Another Earthbound Story or something. It was a side story. Now, I don't know if these titles are including the sales of offshoots or whether they are just the main series. So I'm assuming at this point that this is only covering these 2 volumes, the one being the Bunko format and the other being the Tankobon format. I'm assuming that's all that these sales represent. So if you haven't seen the movie, I would really, really recommend it. I absolutely loved the film. My wife and my son, who are both like fans of anime, were not quite, I think, as impressed as I was by it, but they still enjoyed it nonetheless. Now, of course, the novel version was released in English in May of 2017, and again from yen on. So we've got it. And even the side story now has been released in English as well by yen on, so you can get the sort of complete novel version of Your Name now. And I believe the DVDs are either coming out or are now released. I guess I should have looked at that before I started this video, but head on over to Amazon. They'll let you know whether you can buy it or not. And I really do. I do recommend that you see the movie. I thought it was really something special. At number 5, with 564,642 copies sold, Classroom of the Elite. So this one written by Siogo Kinugasa. The anime aired July to September of 2017. 4 volumes were released during the year that this covered. Now, this is one that we don't have an English license for either. This is one of the 3 that we do not have an English license for. Now, like I said, when I was doing the weekly and my weekly top 10 countdowns, during the time that this anime was airing, Classroom of the Elite owned that list. I mean, it consistently was holding 2 and 3 positions in the top 10. Multiples of its volumes. One week it was the earlier volumes, 1, 2, and 3, and then it was the 4, 5, 6. Volume 7 came out a couple weeks back. It, of course, hit the top 10 as well. So one of those series that I would have to say that the anime had a huge impact in terms of its sales and the awareness of people around it. Like I said, it was very, very obvious. I mean, once the anime was kind of over, the incidence of the light novels, like the earlier volumes being in the top 10, kind of decreased. So clearly, yeah, like a series that very, very much was benefited by having that anime adaptation this year. At number 4, with 809,636 copies sold, big jump, eh? The Irregular at Magic High School by Tsutomu Sato. Now, this one, of course, the anime series was out some time ago, but this year there was a brand new movie that they put out. It released in June of 2017. Now, they had 3 volumes that released during the sales year. Of course, we are getting volume 6 in English from yen on in December 19th, so just another week and a bit. So I don't but in the case of this one, I don't necessarily think that the movie had that big of an impact on the sales. I mean, it's interesting to point out. It's interesting to see that even when the series isn't getting a new anime season, that they may very well still get movies just to kind of keep that fan base going. But I mean, the fan base seems very, very dedicated to this series. I really think it probably would have been in the top 10 best-selling series regardless of the movie. I don't think it really had all that much of an impact. Also, I remember when volume 23 was in the top 10, I believe somebody had said that it was a really pivotal arc, like that answered a lot of questions and really was sort of being really hyped. So that could be another reason why we're seeing such huge sales for these 3 volumes that released in this calendar year. At number 3, with 925,671 copies sold, ReZero, Starting Life in Another World, by Tappei Nagatsuki. The anime aired April to September of 2016, so this is the one series that did not have an anime or an anime movie during the release year, but it did have 4 volumes released during 2017, so during the tail end of 2016 up until now. Now we are getting volume 6 in February 20th is the current release date, 2018 from Yen on. So we do have 5 volumes currently available, as well as the first of the spin-off series, ReZero EX. Now with this one, I have to say that I really think, like if you think about it, like so the anime ran until September of 2016. This sales list picks up in November. Now I know from like Anime News Network and a couple of other sites that I was looking at that the anime for ReZero covered right up until the most recent volume that was released in Japan at the time. I think it was volume 9. Definitely up to volume 8, but I believe it included parts of volume 9 as well. So the next volume that was coming out, the publisher was actually hyping it as read the sequel to the anime. And I think at that point, when you've got an anime, and of course the anime was very, very well received, and for good reason. It's a great, like the light novels are great. I have not watched the anime yet because I don't want to spoil it because I haven't caught up there, but the light novels are fantastic. The anime I know was received very, very, very well. So I think what you're seeing in this kind of case is that the anime led almost like was with only like a month and a bit of where this list starts, and you have immediately a volume releasing that grabs people and continues them on, and then 4 volumes over the year, bang, 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 that just keep coming out. And certainly I can say from like the earlier volumes, like I'm reading volume 5 right now, the earlier volumes just keep coming out with stuff that keeps you going. Like there's no, once you're into it, if you enjoy it, there's really no way that you're not going to continue reading the series. And so I think that's where this one really, really benefited from that, having a really good anime adaptation, and then has just benefited since then in terms of having good books and having them come out at a really regular interval. I mean, you figure 4 volumes over the course of a single year, so that's like one coming out every 3 months. At number 2, with 960,418 copies sold, Konosuba, God's Blessing on This Wonderful World by Natsumi Akatsuki. Now this one, the season 2 aired January to March of 2017. So we did have the first season. I think that was a summer 2016. Again, I didn't watch it because I hoped the light novels were coming, so I kind of held off. So I'm not exactly sure, but I'm pretty sure there was at least a gap of 1 season between the first and the second season. Feel free to correct me in the comments down below if I'm wrong. Like I said, I didn't watch the anime, so I just know that season 2 did premiere in early 2017. Did that make this series? Well, I wouldn't be surprised if the first season definitely kick-started sales of the light novels. This one, they had 2 volumes that released during the year. We do have it in English from Yen on. They're releasing volume 4 on December 19th, so we're a little ways behind because I think they're up to volume 13. Is that the most recent one? I think it's the most recent one. It just took actually the top spot. They came out this week, so it wasn't in time to count on this list, but it'll probably push Konosuba's like sales for next year. It'll probably be in the top 10 again. Just a really great fun series. I mean, I think that's what it boils down to. It's filled with really funny characters, and it's just super entertaining. And I think that the anime certainly seems to have gotten a lot of love, and I'm sure that drove people to the books. And it's just one of those series that once you're into it, it's like ReZero, right? Very different. ReZero, I think it's because the story itself really, really pulls you in. Konosuba, it's just so much fun that you look forward to being able to read the next one. So different sort of things, but definitely in a way that it always makes you look forward to the next volume. Finally, at number 1, with 1,173,096 copies sold, is anybody surprised that it is Sword Art Online by Reki Kawahara? This one had 2 volumes released during the year. Those were volumes 19 and 20, which funny enough are a side story to the Alicization arc. It's not even part of like the ongoing storyline. And they were also supposed to be like the last material that Kawahara had posted on the web novel websites. So everybody figured that was it. Although there's been lots of rumbling that he is going to continue the Sword Art series. We'll only have to see. I mean, I'm sure we'll probably hear something soon, because it's already been a while since they made that announcement. So I'm pretty sure we'll probably see something in the first 3 or 4 months of 2018 that will give us an idea of just what Kawahara is going to do with Sword Art beyond volume number 20 of the main series. Now this one again is released by Yen On in English. We are getting volume 12 on December 19th of 2017. So, you know, we're kind of at least in the Alicization arc. We still have a good number of volumes to go before we've caught up with Japan. Now this one, of course, we didn't have any new anime seasons, although we did have some announced. But this one did have the anime film Ordinal Scale, which released in February. Again, this one is kind of like the irregular at Magic High School. Like, I really don't think that the film suddenly made people interested in Sword Art Online. Like, this is just one of those series that does well, is always going to do well. I mean, volume 20 had done, in like the couple of weeks that it was in the top 10 bestsellers list, had sold over 200,000 copies just by itself. In fact, if you take a look at like the sales of volume 19 and volume 20, they are in the top 10 of the year. Those two volumes alone account for about half of this over 1 million copies sold. So every new volume of Sword Art gets massive, massive sales. So it's really not shocking. And again, like, I don't think the movie had pretty much anything to do with it. Now, there is the other light novel series, Sword Art Online Progressive, and also Sword Art Online Gun Gale Online. I don't know if those are included in these sales. I don't think they are. I think they treat the spin-offs as their own series. Now, again, I'm not 100% certain. I'm just taking this information from other news websites. So there wasn't really a lot of in-depth analysis or discussion about these sales. They just kind of posted them as they were. So I don't know that. If any of you have more insight into that, I'd be happy to hear about it in the comments down below. So those are your top 10 best-selling light novel series of 2017. What do you guys think? Like, let me know in the comments down below. Are you surprised by any of these? Are you really happy? I mean, we can argue back and forth whether Sword Art deserves to be number one, but I don't think any of us can really be surprised by the fact that it's number one. And remember too, that this list is purely based on copies sold. It has nothing to do with quality or best reviewed or anything else like that. This is purely just the number of people that went out to a bookstore and bought a Sword Art Online book, a Saga of Tanya the Evil book, an Overlord novel, and so forth. And of course, like I said earlier, if it wasn't clear, it covers all of the volumes. So it's by the actual series. It has nothing to do with individual titles in the series. So if you bought Sword Art 1 through 20, they all counted towards these sales. Are there any series that you're kind of surprised aren't on the list, that you thought, wow, that series always seemed so huge to me and had a really popular anime even this year, and I thought for sure that it would be on there? Let me know about those ones as well. And again, you know, like, what do you think? Are we going to see more of these series getting licensed? I mean, there's only 3 on this list that haven't been picked up by somebody. Do you think we're going to see those get picked up now in 2018? Usually we have sort of a drought of announcements until around March, because everybody's getting over the Christmas holidays and everything. But come March, who knows? We may very well get some announcements. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see. So I'll be here, of course, next year to do this list all over again. If you want to keep up with how individual volumes are doing on a weekly basis, I do a top 10 countdown of the best-selling light novel volumes every single week on this channel, and pretty much do the same format. Give you a little background, a little bit more information, just a little bit something more for you to sort of digest, aside from where most other sites just kind of list the titles and the sales numbers. And keep an eye out, I am going to do my personal top 10 for 2017 in the next, I guess, probably 2 weeks. It will be based on the books that I have read in 2017. It won't have anything to do with like release dates or anything. It'll just be whatever I read between January and, well, I guess whenever I decide to record the video of 2017. So keep an eye out on the channel for that one as well. So if you're brand new here and you love light novels, you should consider subscribing. I do a weekly countdown of the top 10 best-selling light novels, as well as 2 to 3 reviews of light novels every single week. And when there's something new and interesting going on in the light novel world, I do videos on those as well. Thanks so much for joining me in this video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Till then, bye-bye for now.